Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Sheets with Adam Perry, and again with Bobby gone, he's leaving the keys to the house with the teenagers to kind of mess up the place before he comes back. So we're gonna take advantage of that and try to do some off the wall stuff. Uh, we are going to still give whatever fundamental takes that we have. And Adam kind of teased that a little bit in yesterday's. He might have some of that, and I actually have a take myself, which we'll get into. But we're going to focus more on the lineup building process, even though it's noon. Actually, especially because it's noon, because it is really just about process, and even though we're probably not going to be even playing the guys that we end up building this part of the day, it's just the more reps you have doing this, kind of the better. The other thing I'll kind of tease a little bit is I did a little more work with the beta stuff over last night and a little bit this morning before I got to work. Just learning a little bit more about how it works and different things that you can do with it. And next week I'm going to do kind of my own kind of private tutorial with Jordan, and he's going to help me with some stuff, and then I'll be able to talk a little bit better about it. One of the things that's again kind of neat is that you can kind of like group lineups in different ways. Like the previous ways that you would use SaberSim is you would say, okay, I could either create a portfolio of all my lineups, or I could do it kind of contest by contest. But now you could sort of like mix and match them. So if you had like say 7 contests you were in, and say, I don't know, like 4 of them were big lottery type contests, and you want to create like one group of lineups just for those contests, you can do that. Like you sort of customize the way you look at your lineup builds, and again, it's going to be a lot of testing and a lot of screwing around to see what works, but that's pretty cool. And I also learned a little bit better how to click around the fields that I was unable to click around yesterday, which so that helped a little bit. And so what we're going to do again, as usual, we're going to I'm going to turn it over to Adam, and he's going to share his screen, and he's going to build some stuff, and then I'm going to build some stuff as well, and we'll see how they're similar, we'll see how they're different, and you can hear each of us kind of talk through our process here.
Yeah. So, okay, first of all, the beta is going to be alpha and it'll be available on TrueDFS.com. So people should check that out. Some people ask, how do they access the beta? You just can't access it right now through TrueDFS. So until beta becomes the actual live production site, then it won't be usable yet. But I still think it's worth knowing. And so we're still going to go through it to get ready for and prepared for when that goes. But anyway, okay, so let's look at my builds. I've got DraftKings using Goldie's projections and SaberSims. And here's, you trust the projections, right? Here's kind of if you ask who I like, I got Tyler Anderson, Garrett Crochet, Peralta is my 3 highest owned pitchers. And then the stack department, I've got Phillies way above everyone else. And a little bit of Seattle again, Tampa, Boston, Dodgers. Now, let's compare that to SaberSim's projections and see how different it is. Right? This is what we always like to do. And then we'll compare it to Sheets. So in the pitching, it's those same 2 guys of Crochet and Peralta, but you don't get Anderson anywhere, really. You get him at just 10%. And then you get the Ryan Nelson. So it's with the field on Nelson. I have to say, we kind of teased, like she said, that we're going to do qualitative takes. I like Ryan Nelson, and I think I'd like him even if he wasn't against the White Sox. He's shown significant improvements in his stuff plus, in his pitch movement and things, and those tend to be leading indicators that I don't think get caught in projections. So I'm kind of high on Ryan Nelson today. So I'm a little more comfortable with the field now. Using Goldies, I might bump them, but let's see stacks. So still all the Philadelphia. Then you get Washington, Boston, Seattle, Tampa. So similar stacks, but you don't get that Tyler Anderson stand that it's going to take with Goldie's projections. What are you getting, Sheets?
Well, let me ask you something first.
Yeah.
Let's go back for a second. So when you're saying you're getting, let's just review like what process you
Mm,
used to get to where you got to.
yeah. So all I did, you want me to go? I'm going to go through the process
Yeah, do
again.
it, because that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. So we've got Goldie's projection set. Nope, this is SaberSims. Okay, so let's go with Goldie's. I'm going to click on Goldie's projections. That's already done. And then the only change I'm going to make on a 12-game slate is I'm going to demand 5 2s and 5 3s. So I want to X out all of these. And then I just hit build. So we could go through and rebuild and see what we get. Now, one other thing, I sort of started to say this last time, we didn't talk about it much, is the pool exposures. Here it's pretty flat and I'm okay with it, but sometimes what I'll do, like if I have a pool exposure of 13% on the Dodgers and I'm only getting like 1% of them, I might rebuild and say, limit the Dodgers stack, to like 3%. You said just don't get a lot of Dodgers anyway, so I could get more iterations of the other teams in my pool of 5,000. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not going to play. So if there's these teams, so when the Dodgers we seem to be playing, but if there's like, okay, I got literally no San Diego stacks, and they're in 115 lineups. So why don't I just get another 115 lineups that might be candidates to play? The same with St. Louis.
Now, the other thing is that when you build, you have it set to automatically run the Sims after you build, right? So
I do.
so you're never gonna get to see. Well, not never gonna get to see. So you bypass like even looking at what the Saber score ranked lineups would show, right?
I do in baseball. I think they have a pretty good idea of fields. Here's another one, Milwaukee. Like I'm just not going to play Milwaukee, so I'm going to next it out. Yeah, so there's some sports where I'm more willing to try Saber score with, that I think, but for reasons I'm not going to get into. But with baseball, I think the fields are solid enough that we could just trust the Sims. And I'm going to go with the contest Sims. And maybe that's wrong. Maybe Saber Score is the way to go.
No, I go with this contest Sims as well. But the reason why I always take a look to see what the Saber Score rankings would give me is just more so that I can learn about what the Sims are up to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to see like the delta between what I'd be getting with straight Saber Score versus what I'd be getting with the Sims, just even to visualize it, just to kind of see like what I'm up to. So like sometimes when Saber Score will give us, kind of chalkiest whatever, and then when you run the Sims and you get literally like the complete leveraged opposite. You know what I mean? At least I'm trying to learn, because they don't really tell you what they're doing in the background. Okay, so I like to kind of like derive what they're doing in the background, sort of. And I almost never will go with straight Saber Score, but I always like to just. Maybe it's because I'm teaching and I like to demonstrate it too, that maybe I stop at that point. But because I'm never going to actually use those lineups. But sometimes it's good from an educational perspective to see what they'd be getting normally, and it would give you also an idea of really what the field would do, a little bit. So
yeah, I think the Saber Score is a little bit chalkier.
Yeah. Oh well, that's
for sure. Clear. So it gives you an idea more of the field, and so. Yeah, there's a case for that. I mean, there's maybe a case. I wonder if there's a case for simming against the Saber Score build. Like,
yeah, there is. I mean, that makes a lot of sense actually. I've tried that among other things.
Yeah.
So let me share my screen. And what you're looking at here again is the beta version. And what I'm going to do again, I'm not, as Adam said, you can't access this view or this whole system from the TrueDFS interface yet. So I'm just kind of testing it for my own benefits. What I'm doing is I'm actually have to upload my own projections from my own file before I can run it. I don't have that option in the way I'm looking at it to like do that stuff, you know, where you can pick mine or Goldies or SaberSim or average them or whatever it is. And just to kind of show everybody again, like when you do this, whenever you do custom projections, what's kind of neat is that you can kind of tell where you're different just on a color-coded basis. So if your projections are lower than SaberSim's, they're going to have a red background like this. And if they're higher, you're going to have a green background for this. So again, just every once in a while, that helps me because sometimes I will literally get a whole sheet of like all red or all green. And when that's the case, I know I have to go back and see what the hell's going on. You know what I mean? Like maybe the whole scale is different for like mine versus SaberSim or whatever. But this is actually something worth doing. And the other thing that I want to add one of these days, maybe I'll get Goldie to work on this, is to put like a delta somewhere where it'll show you like where your projections are most different. You know what I mean? So like yesterday, for example, I mean, I knew that my projections were just over projecting or whatever, or projecting like Miguel Vargas, like he was Mike Trout for some reason. I mean, not really, but he was like much higher projected. And I picked it up kind of manually, but it'd be cool if you did upload your projections, or even if you were comparing Goldies to mine to SaberSim, whatever, to see where the delta is the highest, just to let you, kind of maybe eyeball it. And if you want to put your own take on it and override it in some way, I mean, at least you see what you're looking at.
One comment I'll make, you said something about the scale being off sometimes. Like if you see all red or all green, that's the case for not averaging, right?
Yep.
When
Yep.
that's the sort of extreme example of why you wouldn't average.
And to get and also, I mean, to get into this, I feel that there are some sports where averaging makes more sense than others, and baseball to me is one of the ones where it makes the least amount of sense, because not only are some operate at different scales, but one projection like in baseball naturally affects the other one within one system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you mix, projections like that, the way correlation works, you're really just kind of asking for trouble to average. You're better off like taking just one that you like and just kind of rolling with it.
Yeah.
As opposed to the other, like tennis, for example, average away. You know what I mean? Like even MMA to some extent, like I average, and even NBA for some. You know what I mean?
Especially the sports that are derived, like that are derivatives, that they're making projections as straight derivatives of the betting markets, which they are in tennis, I think.
Yeah.
Then you could really average. The other thing about baseball averaging, like the range of outcomes that they have may be different.
That's
so like
true.
that Ryan Nelson is a good example, right? If you're taking short-term results, or if you're like the bat that looks at these advanced metrics and pitch movements and things, then the bat might have a very different projection on Ryan Nelson that if you average, it just doesn't capture the range of outcomes that it was looking for,
Okay.
that it was going for in that projection model. So
now before I build, I will again say that one step that I always take is I upload the contests and dummy lineups of the contest that I'm playing pre-flop. So you'll see like within the tab here, I already pre-uploaded stuff that I was going to be playing, just so that it preloads the different sims and the different fields, giving me the opportunity to use that stuff. And then also when we use this new system or whatever, that helps a little bit. And now it kind of scares me when it tells me how much I'm playing tonight. now it's showing me right up in the top left. I'm like, uh-oh. It's like what my NGPs are. So I'm kind of like Adam in one sense, and not like in another sense, in that I'm not going to make any changes when I hit my initial build. But the one thing, again, for those of you who've been following us, the one thing that I go back and forth on is whether to demand certain stacks or not. Certain stack exposures or not. With Adam's logic being, okay, so here are the two ways again. Number one is you just run 5,000 lineups, and then you know what? If you don't want any 3-3-2 stacks or 2-2 stacks or whatever, just X them out after the fact, because You started with 5,000 good lineups. At least you know you have all good lineups. Just X amount after the fact. Why, but Adam's point is, well, if you're only going to play 5-3, 5-2s anyway, else, and I don't know, so we argue about it, go back and forth. I mean, I just honestly don't know what the answer is. So I myself go back and forth with that. So for today's point, we are going to demand. I'll go back. I'll split the difference. I'm gonna allow 5 zeros also, and then I'm also gonna allow 4 4s because I'm biased because I've won like too many times with 4 4s for me not to use them. So I'm just gonna use these and X everything out pre-flop, and then no exposures pre, no takes pre. But I will say, and we're gonna get back to this. For those of you that have watched the other shows, or those of you that caught up on content, and I think Adam might have missed this one too, but maybe not. Is a real big talking point on tonight's slate is going to be someone who Saberson doesn't even have projected yet, who I don't either, and he will be. So there's a super stud making a surprise start for the Reds today against the Yankees. His name is I think Shane Burns.
Chase Burns.
Chase Burns.
Yeah,
he's like kind of a nuts.
His strikeout rates in the minors are insane.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to see where the projections come in on that, but he certainly is going to be either played or not. You know what I mean? Like and it's not like they gave you a break. It's not like they gave you 6,000 or anything like that. He's priced like a real pitcher. The ballpark is not great. The matchup is not great. But like you said, he had what was it 15 strikeouts per 9 or something like that in the minors or something like that.
Yeah, and the other thing is that Mizorowski on Milwaukee just did the same thing.
Okay,
shot through the minors from like AA, had unbelievable strikeout rates, and he's been amazing. Yeah. So that's another reason people might play him.
Yeah. So that's going to be a thing. And I'll just say that hopefully by the time it's 5:30 or 6 o'clock or whatever, I will have at least some reasonable projection on him. But I'm inclined to just kind of play him. That's my instinct. But we'll see where it comes out. Saberson doesn't have a projection yet, and Saberson, I don't know how they would even do it. I've asked them so many times, like, hey, listen, if the guy's never had a start, how do your sims pick that up? And they give me some sim double talk about how they come up with something, whatever it is. But as long as they're within the range of outcomes of everybody else, I'll accept it, I guess. But I presume that they're going to let the guy go, if he's doing well. So I'm not too concerned about a pitch count or anything like that. I'm just concerned that it's his first start and it's against the Yankees. That's rough business. Nobody said anything. Okay.
I think he came straight from AA too.
Oh, did he really? Oh my God.
I think so.
Oh my God.
He's a former number 2 pick. I mean, he's got the pedigree and everything.
And he came. I think he transferred to Wake Forest. And Wake Forest is apparently like the nuts as far as like developing pitchers nowadays. So it's we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Listen, I'm half afraid he's gonna be like super chalk, but fortunately, there's like so many good options on this slate. You got Crochet and Peralta on the slate. It's not like Chase Burns is gonna just automatically launch up into Chalkville. I think.
He threw, just for the record, in his last start, he threw 88 pitches.
Okay.
So, I don't know if he's going to get deep into the 90 pitch range. Milwaukee's been keeping, for what it's worth, took Mizorowski, I think, from AA, and he's been in the 80s in the majors. So I don't know, different organizations. But.
Yeah, so you'll see what this looks like. So here, they're what they do is they've created certain groups of like ways to look at all these lineups. Okay, so we're not going to get into it yet. I promise you guys within the next week or two I will. Okay, but there are certain templates you can set up where you can set it by one group per contest, and that's what this is doing. Or you could do a full set of lineups where you can customize it, so you can add, like, if I want to do another template where I only want to do, say, the bat flip and the I don't know, the perfect game or something like that. I create that. But otherwise, what the new algorithm is purporting to do is to consider, everything in your entire portfolio of lineups as one unit. And it's still going to sim it to the correct contest, but it's going to one set of lineups is going to consider the other. Excuse me, one contest set of lineups is going to consider the other. So to cut right to it, I forgot what you said already as far as what your what the exposures would be.
Philadelphia. So I just ran using your projections, and I still get a healthy dose of Philadelphia, not as much as I did using SaberSim and Goldies.
So here is a pretty interesting point. Okay, so here we go. So I am getting looks like 33% Dodgers.
Wow.
And I can't find a Philly stack if my life depended on it. Like I'm getting like 5% Philly, and these are using these same projections. Okay. Now, couple of things. I will say this is that if you do run the exact same systems, the exact same settings, you're not going to get the same necessarily lineups because there is some degree of randomness kind of built into it, but not this much. But not this much. So let's analyze a little bit. So let
me interject too. I have in 150, I have 4 Dodger stacks.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
So let's get into this a little more. So let's just take a look at the 5-mans, for example. Okay. Again, the one difference I did make is I did allow stuff other than 5-3 and 5-2s. Okay.
So did I.
I did 5-0s as well. But of the 5-man stacks here, it's 16% Dodgers, 13% Boston, 10% Atlanta. The other difference, by the way, is I only am looking the exposure to 67 lineups. And you had 150. So
150. So let me take it down to 67. And by the way, I allowed 5 zeros and 4 4s.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Just to match yours. Yeah.
Okay.
So we did everything exactly the same. The only difference is the portfolio manager.
Yep, that's right. Let's see what my stack exposure does. Look, I'm just confirm that I got what I wanted. Yep, 93 of them were. Well, this is weird. So how come it doesn't add? Oh, because why is this not adding to
67?
To 67 is a good
because
question.
you could have.
Oh, do they count 5-3s as 5-2s also, or something like that, or?
Well, let's see. If 67,
like you're 5-0, does that count as a?
Oh, do the one-offs count as a? No, but they shouldn't. But the 2-mans count as stacks. So if you had 67 lineups, yeah, how could you have 97 stacks of a team?
That's a good question. How much is this adding up total? I'm not even sure. So 60. I'm only building 67 lineups. Let's just see something. How about? Well, the team stacks doesn't help because again, you can have multiple 5-3s as count. Let's see the players. Let me just make sure that's added. So pitching, yeah, it's making more lineups here. So I'm curious what this is dragging. You know what I mean? Because this is 102. Oh, you have to divide these by 2 also? No. Wait a minute. Let me see something.
104 would be 67 times 2.
So why is it giving me all this as far as exposure goes? If I'm only playing 67 lineups.
Jordan,
that is a good question. Well, let's first click Save All. Maybe that will now this says it'll save to contest. Let's just see if that does anything. It still says 205 lineups for some reason. Let's go into contests since it saved it there.
Is there more than you think? Or?
I don't know. Let's just see. So now we go into contests because that's where it saved it. Now I'm getting now it adds at least, but the percentages is correct. So it's Yankee. Actually, it's Dodgers, then Yankees, Boston, Seattle.
Okay, so I have got 13% Boston, which I think is the exact amount you have.
I have 16% Boston.
16. Okay, I've got 13 Boston, 19 Philly, 12 Tampa, 12 Washington.
Yeah, these Phillies are the interesting one. Okay, so so one of my questions to ask them is what are they showing me?
Yeah.
You know, with all those lineups. Now at stack exposure, it looks good. Let's look at the players pitching wise. Exposure. Crochet, Peralta, Valdez, Tyler Anderson, like you said, Ryan Nelson. And again, when we actually get to the build, there's going to be some there's going to be the Chase Burns.
How much Crochet are you getting?
40.
I'm getting 60.
Yeah.
Heavy dose of Crochet, and then I'm getting 18% of Robelski.
As opposed to I'm getting 10.
Okay. So he's still showing up.
Well, I want to save these for now, but again, like the presence of the Chase Burns thing is really going to obviously
that's going to change a lot.
Yeah. What you're saying is, Sheets, have you been able to compare how beta bills would have actually done? No. Oh, definitely not. I've definitely not getting near there. Nor would I have would I probably do that anyway, unless we can really clarify what you mean by how they've actually done. You know what I mean? Like, is it? Do we have to have them actually score well, or is it good enough to have them sim well? You know what I mean? Like, and again, how are we judging that? That's like another story about how to run post contest sims. Do you want to judge how it would have done against given Saber Sims projections, or given mine, or given Goldie's, or given an average, or given whatever? So this is post contest sims are kind of tough too. What's your experience with that?
So what I try and do, I've talked about this, is I try and see how I measure in multiple post contest sims. So Saber Sim and other products, right? Because if I could do well in both, then I know maybe I don't know, but I think my results are more robust, right? I'm onto something if I grade well across two different sims, as opposed to just grading well in Saber Sim, using Saber Sim. So I try and do that sort of thing. But I will tell you, if you use Sheets or Goldie's projections and Saber Sim, you will often not grade well in Saber Sim, and I don't think that means you're necessarily not doing well. It's just the biases and the inputs.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, because again, if you use straight Saber Sim projections, okay, and you use the Saber Sim, you're always going to sim well. It's
almost always. If you don't, there's a problem.
Right.
That's happened to me where I've jiggered with it way too much, and actually came up negative EV in Saber Sim. And I said, well, I got to never do that again, right? So it can't happen.
Did you build FanDuel?
I did build FanDuel.
Right.
Also, I said to Rich's point that we nailed Seattle yesterday. We didn't nail Seattle. The industry projections nailed Seattle, and we just put them into the optimizer, really. Did
Seattle even outscore everybody? I mean, I don't even know what happened. All I know is my guys. My teams didn't do well.
I didn't. Yeah.
That I know. But yeah, it's and then unfortunately that is that's an industry sales problem.
Right.
And it bothers me so much. When hey, great hit on such and such. I'm like,
yeah.
Or worse, when I play 150 lineups and one of them wins, and people say, "Hey, great lineup." I'm like, if you quizzed me, I would have never.
How did you pick that guy?
Yeah, exactly. And well, to this point, I will say this. Okay, this is my pitch with respect to less of your own takes, less of your own biases, less of your own exposures, and more of letting the stuff do its thing. Is that I personally have had multiple, high 5-6-figure scores in these wild type of contests, and every single one of them was a lineup which I would never in a million years have played on my own, like ever. I mean, it's always some stupid thing that I'm like, really? This is the one? And that's just that is a fact. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that. Listen, I have an idea what that means, but the fact is that I will stake someone who knows how to use these systems to head against someone who knows every single baseball stat there is who's building by hand.
Yeah.
I just
Let me ask you this. This is a sort of a tangent, but it's a process issue. And it's going to come up today because it's a 12-game slate. For late swap, do you take off do you get rid of your dependence on certain stack sizes? So do you say, okay, now I'm late swapping, I'll take 3 threes, I'll take,
yeah,
52s, whatever.
I do because when you're really limited as
Right.
far as your options, if you demand like 5-man stacks, you're gonna get buried.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree. And the other thing is, the longer the slate goes, the shorter it is in a way.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're late swapping at 10 Eastern, you're making it's like a 3-game or a 2-game slate with those options that you have.
Yep. And
So
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no. So yeah. So, if it's earlier on, you may demand it. I don't know if you should, but if it's like, between the 710 and the 740, maybe you keep the integrity of the 5-mans and the 4-4s. But I don't know.
So same thing, by the way. When I ran this with FanDuel, I'm playing 217 lineups, and yet this like stack exposure thing is showing 277 lineups or however many, and pitching. It looks as though this is adding up to more than. Oh, maybe this is adding actually. Is this adding to 208, 134, 162, 200? No, this is. Wait, 134, 169, 201. Yeah, this is more than. And this is more than 208 as well. So this is going to be a question to ask. But we'll hit save all. And then we'll go into, see when I do that, then I go into contest, then it could show me what I have. But let's download these first. So I have something. That's very interesting. So 217 lineups built and saved into the entry editor. But when it shows my exposure, it's showing like 300 and something. It says 150 under my lineups right over Sheets' head. No, I'm going to show you what that is in a second. That is that template, I believe. But it's not one. Oh, maybe you think it's giving an additional 150? We're going to find that out in a second. All right, so let's do this first. And then let's see the exposures. Then I'll go back to try to.
Yeah. Now, are you playing the rally or the squeeze?
Both.
Or both?
Both.
Okay, so I'm gonna sim against the squeeze.
Okay.
That's $15.
Okay, so overall, this is across all of my lineups. Okay, I'm getting 27% crochet and a very, very fishy amount of Tyler Anderson, who you don't expect to see him on FanDuel showing up a lot.
Yep, same here.
That's what I'm getting.
So using Goldies, I'm getting almost 27% Anderson and 23% crochet. So I'm kind of with you.
Yeah, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to.
Who's your top stack?
The Dodgers again.
Yeah, here too.
Yeah, back to the Dodgers. So here's the deal. So here's the other thing under templates. See, it doesn't have that other view that I had before. This just has the pool. And again, it adds to a little bit too much. So let's pin the pool. No. Okay, so here's this. So it's in 150. Does it add up to, well, how about this? How about we can delete this. Let's delete the My Lineups one just for the hell of it. So now we know that we only have, these are the only lineups that are at issue here. Let's just, let's screw it. Let's rebuild the whole thing. No penalty there. Let's just see. Now again, you haven't been playing that much. You were saying in general, but I'm just curious if you dabbled in the showdown when you have played in the baseball. 'Cause I know you were
Oh,
really into
yeah,
that last year.
I'd rather play the showdown, so I do dabble in the showdown, and that is tough. My instinct with the showdown is that you're supposed to play the starting pitchers, at least one in every lineup, and it doesn't always give you that. And I just don't know. I just think you're trying for a 6-leg parlay if you're just playing the hitters.
Well, that's very interesting that you say that because when I run my stuff and I do my stuff, I get like all the pitchers like all the time.
Yeah, no, I get them, but I don't
Yeah.
know if I get enough, even as
Okay.
high as they are. I don't
Okay.
think I get them enough. I mean, you don't. It depends on the. I think it also depends on the size. Like the Sunday night, where it's like 5,000-6,000 entries. Sometimes if it's like the Yankees Dodgers, it's like 10,000 entries. Then I think you're supposed to play hitters and more hitters than the captain. I don't know when it's like 1,000 people in the field and you don't have to hit the nuts if you're supposed to play anything other than the starting pitchers
In the captain, you mean?
in the captain.
Yeah.
And that's just my intuition, but you will get them. And I don't know.
What about the relievers though?
Oh, I love the relievers because I think that's where the edge is. And it's not that people aren't playing them. It's that I don't think they're looking at like if you ever looked at like bullpen usage and depth charts and these things, like you'll see in SaberSim, they'll give you guys who have pitched 2 days in a row, and they'll start showing up in people's lineups that they play. There's no way that guy's going to pitch.
Right.
And the same thing goes with the pinch hit risk. Like, do they have lefties available in the bullpen? SaberSim doesn't know that. Do they have righties available? These sort of questions. I think that's the relievers are great for showdown.
It's also great because like as kind of alluded to, if you do kind of know what you're doing there, and that's where you could get some no ball edge with the relievers,
Yeah.
like to know what teams like to do and what. And listen, you love to think that SaberSim's that good, that they could. That they can sit down and project, whatever, but that's just not the case.
No, that's hard. I mean, how much? But you could just force them in after the fact. So, like, what I'll do is I'll let it build me lineups for showdown with the relievers, and if I don't, for whatever reason, like the reliever they're giving me, I just do a quick swap on DraftKings to the reliever I like. So, let's say SaberSim gives me a guy who's pitched 2 days in a row, or he threw 40 pitches the day before, and he's not going to pitch. SaberSim gives it to me. I just swap in the guy I want.
Okay, let's see something. So let's see. Oh, there it is. So, okay. So what I did, and now I'm getting 217 stacks. Okay. The only thing I did differently, I took out that other group where it said 150, like my lineups, and I just left it with the tournaments I'm actually playing. And now it's at least adding here. Okay. So I'm going to report that. And now with FanDuel, wow, now it's a totally different story. Look at this ridiculousness. So now Crochet, Tyler Anderson disappeared. Who is Michael McGreevy?
Oh, I've got him too. 13% St. Louis starter.
Okay.
Against the Cubs. It's terrifying. But there we go.
Here I have a question. So here's again, you haven't played as much, so maybe you didn't notice. One thing that I've noticed about SaberSim is that in baseball, it for some reason always seems to give me an overwhelming amount of teams who have not put their lineups out yet. And I don't. I mean, again, the number one explanation is like I'm hallucinating. You know what I mean? It's just not the case. That's obviously the most likely. But if I am right, is that I would love to think that that's because they're late games and SaberSim smart and they're being flexible in the late games. I don't think that's true either, though. I
have a theory.
I think it also could be something about maybe because I'm not using the ownership right or something because they haven't finalized their ownership. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's okay. My guess
Okay.
is maybe the reason that's happening is because it hasn't done the final sim yet, and the sim it's using is from very early in the day when the lines weren't as sharp, and
Okay.
and so maybe the total dropped in those games or something, and so the later sim captures that, where the early in the day sim did not, or even the overnight sim. So I don't know.
Do you do anything with the with min salary specifically on DraftKings?
So I left it where it is at 4,900.
Well,
I
when it's 49,000, that's cool, but oftentimes it's been really
It's really
uh
low.
yeah, when they keep it at 48,000, if I find that if I don't do anything about it, I'm just getting a lot of lineups below 49,000.
Yeah.
Listen, the 99% pop part of me say, okay, that's cool. It is what it is. Let's go. But it makes me wonder a little bit. And
Yeah.
so
I
Kevin has
I tend to always boost it to 4,900 if it's lower. Now I'm not going to do that in a really small slate, but on like a 9 gamer where it goes to 4,800, I don't know. I like spending the salary.
so what do you think about Kevin's point here? So Kevin's saying more options when the lineups aren't out yet. But the thing is that they're always projecting somebody.
Yeah.
Like in the starting lineups. So that wouldn't be why I would be getting more of them, I think. I think I'm going to go back to my original
Yeah.
thesis that I'm just making that up. And
That may be, I mean, I haven't noticed it. So
Yeah.
that may be,
Okay.
that may be more likely, but we can come up with our own
Yeah, exactly.
guesses.
So the again, the elephant in the room or whatever it is it's not even the elephant in the room because everybody's going to be talking about it, is what's going to happen with the Cincinnati pitcher and the Cincinnati and the projection and all that stuff and what you do with it. So when we get closer, we'll have better ownership and better, hopefully better whatever. By the way, as far as everybody's schedule goes, you're not there for the 5:30s, right?
I'm not here for the 5:30.
So I'll be here for the 5:30s, but today, but I'm going to be scooting out pretty quick. I'll be scooting out probably at like 6:15. I'm going into the city tonight, and I'm going to be putting in my lineups. I'm probably not going to be late swapping. So if anybody wants to stake me on Stake Kings, I'm warning you that I will not be playing my best. And with that said, last time I scooted out for the Yankee game, I put in my lineups literally at 4 p.m. and won 100,000. So in any case, it's pretty much all that I have. I'm going to do more work on the beta stuff over the next couple of days. I have a tentative appointment with Jordan. I gave myself till June 30th because I want to try to figure it out myself before I ask the questions. And then on June 30th, hopefully there'll be more release stuff that comes out in beta that we can.
Yeah, he said they're going to be putting out a lot of content around it. So
yeah. Now let me ask you this: Do people like have access to the beta site like just like this? No, they have to have their own login, right? Okay.
Right, they don't through TrueDFS. You don't have access to the beta.
Let me get a real quick trip report. Eric, are we playing? Are we cashing yet? I know Efro's over at the playing the World Series, and I've already run hot. So I have, as you guys all know, I used to back like thousands of people, it seems. But in the World Series, I literally have 2 sweats this year. I have this one group, these 2 guys that have been playing for me for like years now. They live in Vietnam. They're from Pennsylvania, but they moved to Vietnam and they've been playing there. They're pretty good. They're not great, but they're pretty good. They play like the Vietnam Poker Tour and like the APT Poker Tour or whatever. But they went and they played the World Series this year, and one of them actually scored pretty good. He got like 3rd or 4th in the seniors event at the World Series, the one that David Baker won, Kevin Ifra, the one that ODB won. One of my dudes got 3rd or 4th for like 6 figures. So I'm running totally pure there, and waiting to just hopefully free roll in the main, which is what the idea is. Ifro, a couple of small events are back home now. Okay, cool. And so again, same offer. Anybody makes if God forbid Ifro, you make a freaking final table. So I have a little bit of Ifro. I always take a little bit of Ifro mints just for the just for the vibes and for the memories and the whatever. So I have the Ephraimins, very very small, and I have these two dudes who are the ultimate example of too good or not good enough. You know what I mean? Not good or not good enough or whatever it is. They're totally good enough. You know what I mean? They're not great, but they're good enough to freaking win the stuff that they play. Which is, listen, people talk about with DFS, being about contest selection and stuff like that. And admittedly, I'm not great with that. I'm not great with that. But like these guys, poker wise, they really like play the stuff that they're supposed to play, which really keeps them in the game a lot longer. Let's put it that way. When you play stuff where you have an edge. So we'll be rooting for them. Oh, yeah, that's right, Eric. You met these guys. So everybody wants to root for Peter Keem if he shows up in something, or Robert Nemiskary Kiss. Those are the two dudes out there, and Efro. Those are literally the only three sweats I'm going to have. But okay, that's going to do it. Thanks, Adam, again, and I will see you tomorrow.